Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast. Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. This is Monday, October 23rd. This is episode 40. I'm Matt Roy. That's Don Harris. That's not Chuck McTinnick. That's Zack Hedrick.
Oh, I forgot we're on camera now.
Yeah.
Should I do the podcast like this the whole time?
I think that would
Luis, how do I look, Luis?
Giving off Ron Burgundy vibes.
That would suit a certain subset of our audience, I'm sure.
I was so comfortable, not being on camera for this thing. Just kind of picking my nose or whatever, Now I have to worry about.
Now you got to worry about.
You said that's Don Harris. I was like, what do you mean that's Don Harris? Oh, that's right. We're on camera.
It's only been like a month and a half. We've been doing it on cam.
Yeah, I know.
We'll get used to it eventually. As always, we are going to start with our number game that
just
Don
like you're going to say
long time
video,
ago.
you're going to say film.
shoot. I'm going to say shoot or film. Go film a game. Just exactly. So number 40. There was only one that really came to mind.
Only one.
I had to come up with another couple, but Gale Sayers is number 40.
That's it.
That's it.
Beginning and end.
This is the easiest number game we've ever done.
Yes.
The other ones I wrote down: Bill Laimbeer, Sean Kemp, Bartolo Colon, just because I like Bartolo Colon. But
big sexy
Bartolo.
I like
Colon.
Sean Kemp, but I didn't think of him.
I didn't know. I literally had to go look up other names because I was like, it's Gale Sayers. That's just
Gale Sayers.
That's the only person that there is.
And 41, his teammate Brian Piccolo.
That's not who I've written down.
Of course not. It's Dirk. We'll get to that at the next podcast.
A little bit of a light card for us today. Cowboys on a bye, so we'll talk about them a little bit. We have full recap UTSA, their tough win over FAU. They're starting to look a little bit better, so that's good. Talk some Texas football as they win over Houston and the ALCS, which Zack is repping real quick with his shirt. It's going to be a rough.
Anything can happen. It's game 7.
It's going to be a good day, maybe.
Zack, as your sports director, I must say, you're not being an objective journalist.
Yes, but when it comes to baseball, I cover both sides.
He wore his jersey the other day too.
I got it here. It's here.
Did you wear it on Sunday?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was at home trying to sleep.
True story. When David Chancellor joined us all these 25 years ago, he was my producer on Sundays, on the weekends. And the first NFL Sunday that he ever worked at our station, when we were going to produce a whole, I don't think we had a 30-minute sports show yet. He came to work in his Troy Aikman jersey.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, it's Sunday, it's Cowboy Sunday. I said, you're in the business now, man. You can't cheer. And, I was joking, but he was just like, what? I was like, you can't cheer.
Took all the joy out of it.
That's the beauty of doing the pod, guys. We can show our fandom. We all have them.
We do. And what's interesting is I have found that being in the business for so long, right? Like even with my childhood teams, Cowboys, Spurs, whatever, that covering them because of the situations wherever, and you have to be objective. And at times, like, I shouldn't admit this, but there were times where I'm sitting in Phoenix on press row in a playoff game. And if the Spurs miss this free throw and lose or make whatever, if Phoenix makes the free throw, misses the free throw and loses, I go home because my wife is waiting for me for my son's 4-year-old birthday party. If the Spurs win, I'm stuck in Phoenix for 2 more days. So I have rooted against the Spurs to root for myself to stay out of the doghouse with my wife or whatever.
I mean, yeah, I was rooting against the Rangers yesterday for the sole purpose that it throws a kind of a wrench into the whole scheduling thing today for the rest of the week.
So fans may not understand that, like aren't you, it's all part of it's part of our job now. It's not necessarily fandom. So I was my greatest fandom in recent years was when my son's high school team, because I was just all into it. And it was the first time that I got those butterflies back and all that stuff that you feel as a kid for the Spurs, the Cowboys, or whoever your team is. I had missed that for so many years. I loved having it back. And I found recently that I now feel that for UTSA football.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I really love Jeff Traylor and I really love Frank Harris. I've become close with them. And so on a Saturday, man, I will watch that game and live and die and throw things at the floor and scream at the television, run the ball, or that's a dumb which, I haven't done in recent years. So I get it.
That makes it fun.
I get it with you Rangers.
We're all just fans, man. That's what
Yeah.
that's what got us started. That's where we are now. Like, our fandom never goes away. It's just we have to subdue it a little bit if we're covering a team that we really like, we really dislike.
No
whatever.
cheering in the press box.
No cheering in the
Yes.
press box, unless you're the Spanish broadcast team at the Cowboys and Chargers game. Then you can.
Yeah,
cheer.
when
At
you
SoFi
step
Stadium.
outside.
At SoFi.
It's so weird.
That was
God,
that
can
was
you
the
imagine
strangest thing.
Can you imagine getting your seat assignment and going there, sitting next to those guys?
And they did. The broadcast, I'm sure, was great. I mean, they do a great job.
They didn't give a crap. They were going off anyway. So let's get to the Cowboys since we're right there. Coming off the bye, obviously, Eagles win last night. What's the status of your Cowboys belief as we head into the second half of the season? Obviously, the Eagles coming up next week. The Rams.
I'm not sold.
This is compared to 6 weeks ago when you were in on the Cowboys.
I'm not sold. I think the Chargers win was shaky. I thought it was good. I'm not going to rip Dak. I've been critical of Dak, but Dak was really good. He was solid. We criticize him for not being clutch. He was clutch in that game, but McCarthy wasn't. Clock management at the end of the half with that 8-second debacle. Going forward on 4th and 1 on the 12 when you need points there and not getting it, and then not taking points later when you should have taken points or taking a shot with 8 seconds. McCarthy's struggling, and he looks like he's struggling. But, defense is as good as I thought it was going to be. I think the Eagles are the class of the division right now. The schedule bothers me if you're a Cowboy fan. I think they better make hay quickly with the few games they got coming up because Miami and Philly twice, and there's some difficult games.
Yeah, Philly kind of almost twice in the span of about a month.
Yeah.
So you really hope Mike McCarthy has kind of retooled his offensive approach here during the bye week or something, some different wrinkle going to get rolled out here. I don't think there's really a turbo button on this offense. It's all methodical and, 4 yards here, 5 yards here. They can't move the ball quickly. If you had 2 minutes left, what happens? It's like, well, we'll get there in 16 plays, but there might be zeros on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, they can't run the ball efficiently. They don't have explosive plays. It's all short pass game, and if we can string together 10 plays to try and get into the red zone and then failing in the red zone. So the offense is completely we were sold a bill of goods on this explosive offense that we were kind of told was going to be there at the beginning of the season.
There's a glimmer of hope that CD was heard when he complained a couple weeks ago because he got the ball a lot against the Chargers. And they found Cooks a couple times in key moments, and I still think they can stretch Cooks vertically.
They scored 20 points.
Yeah, it's true.
They scored 20 points against a Chargers team that just let up 350 yards to Patrick Mahomes in the first half yesterday.
Very true.
So I mean, I have zero faith, next to zero faith in the Cowboys offense right now. But their defense is. You're putting too much pressure on them. It's like you can't win a game. It's like the defense can't have a bad game or they're going to lose.
Yeah. No, I said I think it's shaky right now.
So this week they're playing the Rams. I think they got the Eagles next week. Mm-hmm. What is your optimism or lack thereof, Zach, of them actually pulling out this division at this point as compared to 7 weeks ago?
Well, they're right there. They're in it. They've only played one division game, so it's all in front of them. So it's kind of anybody's guess at this point. One game behind the Eagles. The Jets beating them a couple weeks ago. That helps out the Cowboys tremendously. But in a couple weeks after the Rams game, when they go up to Philly, that's where we're really going to see is this Cowboys team for real.
Are you sold on the depth of this team and what we kind of all lauded before the season is like, okay, they have linebacker depth, they have corner depth, they have safety depth, they have D-line depth, but now we're kind of questioning all of that stuff.
They've lost everybody,
and now the depth is being questioned. Are we still sold on the depth of the team on offense and on defense, or is that something we're also questioning?
Well, I'm questioning it. First, if you start wide receiver, Gallup is not the guy. Tolbert is not the guy we thought we were getting preseason. Van Der Esch is out. Seven's gone. I will say this: Deron Bland has
Yes.
been, like outstanding,
Yep.
and almost like I don't know what he was, a fifth round pick. What was he?
Somewhere around there, and he's shaky in some spots, where he kind of gets beat, but
He's a playmaker.
It gets covered up. Yeah,
He's what Trayvon Diggs is. He's a playmaker.
Yep.
He's a playmaker. I don't know that he's quite Diggs, but he will suffice in the short term. Whereas at linebacker, with Van Der Esch being gone, I think you got to move 11 to linebacker and bring an extra lineman in.
I don't know if you can take Mike off the line. He's too valuable as a pass rusher.
Yeah, but who are you going to play at linebacker?
I mean, they brought in Janai Thomas and
Rashawn.
Wanye.
Yeah, Wanye. Sorry. They also have the trade deadline next week.
Yeah.
What moves need to be made on Halloween or by Halloween to shore up the defense, one, but two, maybe bring in another weapon, because like you said, Michael Gallup and Jalen Tolbert and Kevontae Turpin are not at the weapons positions.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of talk, that they're talking about Trey Lance for a big name, Cincinnati's middle linebacker, or a better defensive player. Man, I keep Trey Lance in my back pocket right now. I don't
Especially with the contract situation.
I keep him in my back pocket for now.
Yeah, as far as trade moves, Stephen Jones
Maybe a
always
running back.
could be, yeah. And there's, you bring up the wide receiver position, which is interesting. I don't know if they make a move about that, because Stephen Jones, they always talk about it. Yeah, we're always looking to improve the roster, but that's the smoke and mirrors answer, where it's just like they're probably going to stand pat and not do anything. There's pick three positions, and you could probably get an upgrade, but who are you going to give up to bring in?
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of holes right now. They probably need a backup offensive lineman. They probably need a third receiver. They probably need the thunder to the lightning of Tony Pollard. They probably need another corner. But what are you going to give up for all these things?
Right.
You have a lot of holes. Are you really going to sell out right now for this year? Or are you going to kind of, take this roster and see what happens? You're only 6 games in, and sometimes we talk like the sky is falling, but they have 11 games to go. We could be having a completely different conversation.
And this is where Jerry's myopia of Dak's going to get us there. Just wait. This is where it hurts the team, right? Because he believes that Dak's going to make CD better. Michael Gallup is going to be a Hall of Famer as soon as Dak finds him.
Yeah, those 11 targets against the Chargers and 4 catches were really good for Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
I didn't put it on the rundown because I made the rundown before the Eagles game last night, and this was kind of one of the key moments of that game. The tush push. I just got to ask you guys where you stand on it, because it was a key moment several times throughout that final Eagles drive where there's no stopping it. It's a 92% play. Should they outlaw the tush push or not?
I didn't see any of it, man. I was watching baseball.
Either way, should they outlaw the tush push or not?
Why?
That's what I'm asking you.
They've already outlawed all the good parts of football, like kick returns and hitting people. So
They asked Tom Brady.
Football was born out of rugby, and all football used to be just a tush push. It used to, that was football.
Line it up, and
there was no forward pass there for a while.
I got no problem with them limiting how many people can be in the backfield, or the Bush push was quote unquote illegal. They got away with it against Notre Dame, made it famous. It was not in the rules for college football at that time. Now they've got 2 guys in the backfield with the quarterback and 2 giant. You could make them linemen if you wanted to, line them up as fullbacks to go in there and just shove the guy forward. I don't know. That used to be rugby. That used to be football. I got no problem with keeping it the same, and I got no problem if they make the quarterback get it on his own.
it's interesting almost. I heard somewhere that the NFL owners were having meetings about this play. So it's interesting that a bunch of, the 32 owners are all talking about this and what do they do about it. it's probably going to stay in. I don't see it being outlawed or anything like that, aside from them actually picking the guy up and, chucking him over the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, they can't do that anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, it's almost getting to that, it almost seems like it's getting to that point when I'm picturing, you line up 200-300-pound guys behind, it's not skill position guys anymore. It used to be like a running back and a fullback who would push them, but now it's like, I'm kind of picturing that's almost what it is, almost just kind of, willing him over, because it's just, we're going to line up, and there probably is ways to stop it, but nobody's dreamed it up yet.
I saw Joe Thomas, last night talking about how to stop it on Twitter and stuff like that. And people have their theories, but the fact of the matter is Philly just does it better than everybody else does.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to do it, and nobody else can do it as good as they can. It's because they have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds, a Hall of Fame center, and one of the best offensive lines in the league.
And the Cowboys tried it didn't work.
Yeah, because Dak's not Jalen Hurts when it comes to running the football.
Yeah.
So outlawing something because one team is too good at it just doesn't really add up to me. The only part that concerns me about it is Jason Kelsey's head. Like, that dude, I feel bad for him. He loves doing it apparently, but I don't want to see him in 20 years. I hope nothing happens to him, because that's a lot of blows to the head, just one after another on brotherly shove. So
I didn't see the game. What did they do? They ran it multiple times.
They ran it like 5 times. And Nick Sirianni said after the game, we're basically operating on 1st and 9, because we know if we get to 4th and 1, it's done.
We can go for it.
So it was every time they did it, fourth down.
And they did it on their own 25. They did it on their own 45. They did it on like the plus 25.
All on fourth
downs. Mm-hmm. They just kept going, kept doing it, and they kept winning. It kept going every single time. AJ Brown got tackled the 1 yard line, brotherly shove, put him in there. So it was one of the key storylines of that game. Is like, do you outlaw it? Do you not? How do you stop this thing? And it's like, you can't stop it. You just hope to not get him to 4th and 1.
I can't understand the teams that get down to the 1 or 2 yard line, and it's 1st and goal from the 2.
You pass it.
And they pass a couple of times at the 4. It's like, why don't you do that 4 downs in a row? 4 tries in a row, do the tush push.
Trying to keep him off guard. Let's get to Zack's shirt. I mean, the ALCS. Zack, I'll let you go first. Who wins tonight? Objectively.
After game 6, I watched the 4 days in October, 30 for 30, and it's game 7. Anything can happen. Scherzer against Javier. I don't know. This really comes down to pitching. Because in the games that Texas has won, they've had good pitching. They've stymied the Astros offense because they've been able to, whenever runners have gotten on, the Astros have gone missing with runners in scoring position in the games that Texas has won. Now, for the Astros, Javier, he's their postseason guy, undefeated in the postseason, and he beat Texas in Game 3 with just a well-located fastball. It's not blowing anybody past it. It's an average of 93 miles an hour. But if he can locate it, and he's been pitching up, and that's why you're seeing all these pop-ups and, first pitch, it looks like a fat pitch, but Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, they're popping out or flying out, easy fly balls, stressless outs. And, so that's what it comes down to. To me, it's pitching. Whoever gets the better pitching performance tonight, starting the game, if you can get to the 6th or 7th inning without having to dip into that bullpen, advantage to whoever team gets that.
It's a coin flip for me. I'm not sure what you get from Scherzer since he's been hurt. Since he's been back, he's been inconsistent. At the same time, this guy's a Hall of Famer. He could throw a no-hitter tonight. Yeah. Javier's been really good, too. He's 2-0. I'm going to make this prediction. Again, I wouldn't be surprised in any scenario. I'm not surprised if Jonah Heim is the hero or Mitch Garver. But Rudy T, never underestimate the heart of a champion. And something tells me, just like Altuve when he came to the plate in Game 5, you just knew what was going to happen.
Right.
I have belief in the Bregman, Altuve, Alvarez, Maldonado, Brantley crew based on the last 7-year history. At the same time, Josh Young could be the hero. Wouldn't be shocking at all.
Yeah.
So it can go either way, but I'm going to bet that the Astros find a way.
like I told you last Monday,
I'm not going to bet.
Like I said last Monday when we were sitting here, when the Rangers were up 1-0, I was like, the Rangers are going to win tonight, and the Astros are going to come back and win the series. I still think the Astros win the series. Scherzer hasn't been there, and like you and I talked about on Wednesday, it's like we'll know if Scherzer is going to pitch a decent game in the first 2 innings. Like we'll know if he has it or we'll know if he doesn't. And last Wednesday he had it in the first and he lost it in the second, third, and fourth. And it seems like if they're going to need a 3-run lead by the 6th inning they being the Rangers, they're going to need a 3-run lead by the 6th inning to make sure that bullpen can come up clutch and hold down the Astros.
Yeah, the Rangers bullpen's been shaky.
It has been all year.
Yeah, I mean, it has been shaky all year. They've found a couple of guys, Spores getting out of a jam last night.
Yep.
He made a big pitch and a great double play defensively. That might be an X factor for Texas tonight, just their great defense.
Well, Leclerc, too, got out of a jam in the 8th.
He did. Again, it's just the free passes for me. If you go back to Scherzer, you were mentioning it, in Game 3, runners got on without having to hit their way on base. It was a hit batter, a walk. Leclerc he danced into trouble. He was able to get out of it last night because you lifted the World Series MVP from last year for a left-handed hitter in Singleton. That's got a lot of Astros fans asking why. That was an interesting move for me because it's like, I know Pena's been struggling, but it's like, you got to ride with your guy, and see what he can do. Also, too, as far as the Rangers are concerned, I'm looking for a different approach from them at the plate because last night it was all pull, and it's just like on pitches on the outer half, they were not looking to go to right field at all. And if they're doing the same thing tonight, then that's going to go into the Astros' favor.
I think you'll find Houston being real aggressive early. Small ball. Get on base, steal bases, bunt. I think they're going to try to get on top early.
Yeah,
I'm anxious to see how that works.
I'm a little concerned about the about the wear on Leclerc's arms, Spore's arms, Chapman's arms, just because they've been used so much. Like they were used last night for 16 pitches each. We'll see what happens. Andrew Haney came in and wrapped it up for him.
Yeah, well, and 16 is not all that much in the grand scheme of things. And for Game 7, everybody's on board. The saving grace for the Rangers last night for Rangers fans was that home run, that grand slam by Adolis Garcia that saved them from using Chapman. So and it saved them from trotting Leclerc back out there. So it saved their pitches. Everybody, probably aside from Nathan Eovaldi, is on deck tonight.
Although I would not be surprised if Uvalde came back in. I mean, the dude, the dude is nails in the postseason. He'll do anything. Putting his elbow on the line for his own team, like I've seen it time and time again from him in the playoffs. He'll do whatever it takes. So I wouldn't be surprised.
It's gonna be fun to watch, man. I can't wait.
Will be.
I would be willing to bet that Max Scherzer and Christian Javier have very, very short leashes tonight, though. They'll probably go 3-4 max, and we'll see the bullpens after that. But
they're both capable of just throwing gems. It's going to be fun to watch.
So
see
Astros,
which one does. I picked the Astros just because they're guts.
I told you in Arlington, it's either Rangers in 6 or an Astros in 7. I'm going Astros in 7.
I'm going Astros tonight too. So. Just like how predictions work, the Rangers will win tonight. So
how's that for objectivity?
Love it. I love it.
All right, let's get to UTSA and FAU before we get out of here. So UTSA beats FAU in pretty dominant fashion, 36-10. Got that safety late in the game. 3-0 in conference now. They got a 3-game win streak going. They held FAU to 162 yards of offense, which is their season low. Allowed just 20 rushing yards. The defensive line came to play, brought their lunch pails and smacked FAU over the head with them. So the offense now averaging 42 points in conference play. I think they're back, Don.
I do too. They won 3 conference games by 15 points or more. The 3-headed running back situation is really fun to watch because they're all 3 the same guy. They run similarly. They're built similarly. They divvied out the carries. I think they got 16, 16, and 15 or something like that. They run hard. Offensive line's better. Frank is feeling better, completing those short passes. They have playmakers in Kellogg and Cephas. The play caller is getting better. They lost Will Stein last year to Oregon. And I think it took a while for them to get in groove, especially with Frank being hurt. That's helping. But truthfully, this team is dominating because of the depth on their defensive line. Trey Moore is dominating from the edge. Matterson, Evans, Ty Leonard. You can go on, Jamal Ligon, the linebacker. You can go on and on with the big boys up front that are just dominating inside, both with the pass rush and stuff in the run. I mean, we knew they had these tools, but there's been a lot of injuries, and they've been forced to play more. But they run guys in and out, and they're fresh. And Ty Leonard's sack, I don't know if you guys saw that, where he split two blockers late in the game. That kid came out of Galena Park North Shore as a very high recruit, and he was skinny when he got here, and he's just now putting on weight. He's just now finding his way. He's got a chance to be a dominant player, and you saw it on that play. And they've got so many guys that can do that with Matterson. Joe Evans is transferred from LSU. Those big boys are getting it done.
I said it all right there. I mean, it's UTSA. It's all in front of them. The next three should be pretty favored in those. I think
18 points this week.
South Florida, I think will be a good test for them, and that's coming up before the Tulane game. South Florida and Tulane are the big ones left, I think, on their schedule. But yeah, the way with the defense, the way it's playing now, I think Frank getting back and now that he's had his plays under him, because you go back to what Jeff Traylor said, it's like, hey, he hasn't practiced much. He got however many snaps it was in the Houston game, 50, 60 snaps. It's like he's behind. Now I think he's getting that body of work to where it's like, yeah,
toes better.
Yeah,
too.
he's there. He's in the system. Everybody else is there. I really like the wide receiver McCoy too. They're still waiting on JT Clark, I know, but with McCoy stepping up as well, I think they have some options in the passing game.
I think they look out a little bit. They don't have to play SMU, which is the other team.
Memphis. It's a big miss.
Memphis. So I mean, they lucked out a little bit with their schedule.
No doubt.
You look at East Carolina, you're going to be, I think they're an 18.5 point favorite, something like that. North Texas, you should be favored pretty heavily.
North Texas is pretty good.
Right.
No, they are. I'd be the first with North Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say alum.
They have been pretty good. They've surprised me this year.
Rice, they're going to be heavily favored. And then South Florida and Tulane to close it out, and then you're hopefully in the championship game. Even if you lose to Tulane, maybe you play them again in the AAC.
They'll be favored the rest of the way.
They should be favored in every game except for the Tulane game, probably.
UAB beat South Florida, and they weren't in the same class as UTSA.
Yeah. So
this last game surprised me too.
I'm a little bit concerned about the interceptions from Frank. The two that he threw weren't good. I mean, when you look at him, one's a pick six, one's tipped to the line, pick six, and then the other one was just trying giving your guy a 50-50 ball. It was underthrown a little bit. So Jeff Traylor
took all the heat off Frank for both those throws. I don't know that it's accurate, but he said the receiver made a bad play.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to do that to us and out front, but I'm sure inwardly in that locker room, he's giving Frank the business a little bit at least.
Yeah.
So I think they'll win this week for sure against East Carolina. I mean, I wouldn't expect them to lose this game.
They should. Don't eat the cheese. That's the message this week.
All right, well, we're going to do a little short version. If you notice that we didn't talk about the Spurs, that's because we're actually recording a Spurs-only podcast for Wednesday. It will air Wednesday. We're going to record it here in 2 minutes because the Spurs new era is beginning for the Spurs. Isn't that right, Don?
It's the Wimby Watch.
Presented by Central.
Yeah.
Well, we will get that on Wednesday. Very special episode. Full Spurs preview. We're going to have predictions. We're going to have expectations. We're going to have what size shoe Wemby has, all those dumb things. But that's all we got for you today on Monday's edition of the Sneakers Cleats podcast. Remember, you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Please download, rate, review, subscribe, give us some feedback, tell a friend, tell an enemy, do all those good things. We'll talk to you right back here on Wednesday for the Spurs edition of the Sneakers Cleats podcast. We'll see you then.